So as you can see this right now, I already cut out the shirt. So in order to cut out the design in front, so I'll be using this piece of fabric. So all you're just going to do is just to place it under your top. So you really want to determine how much you want the length to be. On this one, if I'm cutting the normal placket, my placket is mostly a length of 16, 14, 16 maximum, only if I want to do a separate design. So on this one, I'll be letting it be at 15 inch. So you can see. So the length on this side is going to be at 15 inch. Oh, sorry, this has to actually overlap. Okay, so here length of this is at, okay, this is 13 inch. The I would have wanted to be like at 16, but the fabric underneath is not as long as that, so I will leave the 13 inch for that. So this is what we're going to have. You can see, just make sure it is balanced. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out the shape of the neck. Let me take the, okay, if you don't see what I did before, I placed my fabric under the borders that I already cut. You can see. If you want to see a video on how to cut the borders, I have several videos on how to cut a senator borders I'll put them in the description below, or you can just search for it on the channel. So here, I'll be cutting out the neck part. So the next thing I'm going to do is just to cut out this neck side. Just cut it out. You can see that. We're going to cut the exact neckline. I'm going to cut this shoulder slant as well. Start cutting that. Okay, you can just open it up. You can see what we have. So the next thing you're going to do is here, depending on how much you want the design to be wide on your shoulder. As for this one, I want the design to be a total of 5-inch wideness. You can see. So here, I'll be cutting out 5-inch for the wideness of the design on the shoulder. So I'm just going to cut it. So all you have to do is just to mark your 5-inch wideness. Then the design on the shoulder, you remember how it looks, just a curve. So you can use your hand to easily mark what the design looks like. Oh, sorry, from here, let's see here, then it goes like this to this side. You can see that. My hand is not, okay, let me just do that again so that you can see it clearly. Okay, so that's what your design looks like. So the next thing you're going to do is just to cut it out. So you can see that. So this is what the design looks like. This is what is going to be in the front of your outfit. So next thing we're going to do, you're going to cut out a tape, because we have to like take it round. So you're going to cut out a bias tape that you're going to use to tape it round. If you're using a different color of tape, you can use a different color, but on this one I'm using the exact fabric for the tape. So when you place it on your fabric, this is what you're going to have so far. You're going to have a design that looks like this on the neckline. You can see how simple that is. You can use the exact color. As for me, I'm doing a very mature outfit, so the person don't want a mixture of color. I'll be using the exact fabric for the tape around. But if you're using a different color, you can go for maybe like this shade, or you can go for a brown. This is a coffee brown. You can just go for it and make it a tape round. It's a very simple design. So I'm going to show you guys how to cut the bias. All you just have to do is just to measure the side from this side, measure each round, and use the measurement to cut out a long bias that you'll be using for the tape around. So we're going to do that together now. So just fold this. So to cut out your bias, you're just going to cut a slant. So what I'm going to do here is very simple. I'm going to cut from this side. I'm going to cut from this side. But mainly, as you can see, the length of this is a total of 30. If I'm cutting this side, it's going to end at 30. And I want it to be a total of 34. That means I'll be cutting, but I'll be wasting quite a lot of fabric. So I'll be joining them together. But I'll have to like iron it very well so that it won't be obvious. So first, I told you guys you're going to measure the circumference of that design, the shape design we cut before. That's what you're going to use. But when I measure it, I have 34 total. So I'm going to like add like 3 inches to that so that I won't be short of bias. So the next thing I'm going to do is just chalk this round. After you chalk it round, this is a total of 29, you can see. So I'm going to cut out 2 inch for the bias. I'm going to fold in half inch, so I'm going to have like 1 inch. No, I'm going to have like an half inch for the tape around. So I'm going to cut out 2 inch from here. I'm going to mark out 2 inch at this side as well. So I'm just going to mark them together. You can see that. At this side as well, I'll be marking out 2 inch at this side as well. You need to mark it. So I'm going to cut it out. So you can see that I'm going to cut those lines out. You can see I'm going to trim out all the edges. So the next thing you're going to do is you're going to join this together so that you can have your length of 34, which I measured before. So you're going to join it together and give it a thorough ironing before we now have to fold our tape. So you can see after you join them together here, you can see after you join it together, all you have to do is just to fold it like our normal placket. You can see what we have here. So the next thing I'm going to do is you're going to apply your hemming gum in between the you're going to input your hemming gum in between those in between the tape. Sorry, I keep skipping. So you're going to put it inside of your tape. Just simple. So that it's going to hold it down. You can see. So you can easily iron it down. Just to hold it, you're going to iron it full down. So after you gum that piece together as before, you're going to fold it. So if you take a closer look, you can see that one part is a little bit bigger than the other. This is where the stitches are going to be, and this one will be the one to hold it down. Let me show you what I mean by that. You can see this part is a little bit longer than this side. You can see. So when you're running a stitch on this one will be the one holding it down. That's if you're using a normal stitch. But if you want to do an invisible stitch on it, you will have to reopen it and stitch from inside. But I'll be using an obvious stitch on this one because I want the threading to be obvious in the front. So let's go straight to the sewing machine and do that as fast as possible. So as you can see, the first thing I did is I actually add the fusing to the back of this, so you can see the front. This is what the front look like. I already add the fusing, so I just use a paper stay, or you can use a very light fusing, a very light stay. Let me say, if you're doing this. So the next thing I'm going to do is I will be adding this to the bodice. So very simply, just going to make sure your hand is very straight. So don't forget, you'll be using the smaller part. Remember, this the one that will be the one that will be in the front. So just place it over your hip like this. You can see, and simply start to stitch. So just run your stitch. Make sure your hand is straight. You don't need to run. Sew it very steadily. You don't need to rush, you don't need to be too fast. Just take your time. Just take your time. This needs a little bit coffee, so you have to be careful. So you have to follow. Make sure you are not moving this one, you're shaping this side for the cuff. This is the one that is cuffing, not your design. So here as well. So at this side as well, let's use your hand to control it. I already jumped out of that, so I'm going to stitch that part back first. I'm going to loosen that over stitch. Oh shit. Okay, so you can see here that I'm done with the stitches. So after you stitch that part very well, you take your time to give it a thorough ironing so that it's going to lay flat and it's going to be very smooth. Make sure you are using a steam iron if you're doing this. Make sure it's laid flat and it's very smooth. So I will do the ironing, then I'm going to join it to the bodice. So after you finish this, you're going to take it and give it a thorough ironing. You can see, make sure it is very smooth. You're going to iron it from the back as well as iron it from the front. Make sure it is very smooth. Then we're going to sew it to our bodice. You can see So we are going to sew this to our borders, and we're going to make sure the stitches are like exactly the same size of the foot. We're using one size of the foot to sew a second stitches at the side, so it's going to be like a double stitches. Are you getting? So that's what we're going to do with this one. So make sure if you can easily use a pin if you don't want it to be shaking. You can use an very simple pin. You can just pin it down. Mostly I don't do pins. I've never used pin before. But I believe you guys might actually have a problem with this. So just pin it down. Start pinning at least this side. Make sure you pin it down. Okay. I just use 2 pins. So from this side, I'm going to start my stitch. I'm going to be following just exactly one of these foot as my guidelines to easily like stitch it down. So let's get straight to that. I'm going to show you what I mean by one foot. Okay, so let's start my stitch from that place. Make sure you are balancing your sewing. So go. See that? So you're just going to like stitch it straight. You don't need to rush yourself. Make sure you keep balancing the borders. Keep balancing the borders. So far, this is what we have in the design. You guys can see. So you're going to take your time to like give it a good ironing. I'm going to cut out all these pieces. I'm going to show you guys what this looks like. I'm going to take a close caption so that you can see how clean these are. I'm going to take out the pins. So the next thing you're going to do is to like attach your borders, attach your back panel, and I'll be using an invisible zip on this one. So that is about it on this design. I hope you guys like it. It's very simple. You can use a placket if you desire that, or you can use an invisible zipper on the shoulder. Any kind of design is good. So that's about it on this design. So this is what it looks like afterwards. You can see that. You see what you have. You see this down part.